So I got to thinking, what is the most important thing that a life insurance agency in 2025 needs to focus on when they're trying to scale their business, specifically with Facebook ads? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the key strategies that we are using with our companies that is consistently allowing them to make over $100,000 in issue paid business, specifically leveraging Facebook ads. As always, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. Let's hop straight into the video. All right, so I had a question from a potential client. I was on a sales call. An individual asked me, what makes you guys different and why have you guys been able to scale these agencies to making over multiple six figures per month? And my answer really, as I sat back and thought, was we've been able to help life insurance agencies develop a brand. Now, a lot of people wonder what exactly is a brand and how does it help a life insurance agent, specifically with Facebook ads? And the thing that I've realized is that it's all about leverage. So when you work with traditional lead vendors or marketing companies, even as ourselves, when you're not branding yourself, you are paying advertising dollars, right? $50, $100, $200, $300, $1,000 a day for someone else to spend money that's going out for other people to click and convert into leads. Now, while you may receive the lead, what's more important is not necessarily the lead, it is the brand that is attached to the lead. Now, on my channel, I always talk about calling and positioning yourself as the authority figure, the leverage that it gives you as a life insurance agent from a selling standpoint, because they identify and say, hey, it is XYZ Financial. It is whatever consulting group. When you call and you speak from that confidence, it makes you sound legitimate. It's like when you call a company, they address themselves or you address themselves from where they're from. If it's very general and in pseudo, it lacks trust. So you're able to build trust initially by saying, hey, you filled out a request on Facebook. My name is John. I'm with Agent Lead Lab. My name is Susie. I'm with XYZ Financial. This positions you as an authority figure, but that's not the only thing. The more important thing is that those advertising dollars are now recycling and going back to the brand that it's attached to. When you're running ads or you're working with lead vendors, we typically brand it in a very general sense. XYZ benefits, so-and-so insurance, XYZ household. There's numerous of names. You can look them up on Facebook ad library, so many people do. And that's great. But when you're spending, $500 a week, $1,000 a week, $2,000 a week, those advertising dollars are going to that general page, which has no real traction and honestly has no real identity. And yes, you do receive the leads, but your brand is not growing. Every time that ad gets shared into a group, those leads get deposited to different agents, right? And it's spread around. You get likes, you get comments, you get shares, but that is not your content. It's not branded as yourself. What we do is we focus on helping these life insurance agencies actually brand themselves. And that's the key to being successful this year. It's not about who knows how to run Facebook ads. I have tons of those videos on my page. There are hundreds of other people right now that can show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. And a lot of people have cracked that code. That's not the cool thing. The thing right now is to figure out how you can brand yourself. And branding yourself takes a few different aspects. It means having your own system. Okay. And you need to identify who's the lead type you're going after. How are you going to position yourself? What are your scripts? What are your angles? And how are you going to do your targeting, right? The days of just putting up a general ad and having people click on it and just let every, so many calls, if you get 10 clients, you're able to close like 5 or 6. Those are dead because there's so many different ads out there that are so similar. Now the focus has to be on how can I brand myself to distinguish myself from all the other people running ads, target a specific type of people, come at it from a specific type of way, and figure out how to convert them in still the same sales manner, right? That's number one. The second thing is that you need to have your own backend system. Your follow-up sequences need to be a lot more deliberate. If you're receiving a lead and you're saying you filled out an inquiry about final expense, the days of that being successful are null and void. You need to mention your insurance group. You need to mention where you're coming from, why they filled it out, what type of demographic you're going after. You need to be sending them VSLs, right? Different informational context to build trust. If you do not do that, you are losing sales by the day. You are wasting your advertising dollars, keeping things broad rather than narrowing down exactly who you're going after and coming up with the ideal client by creating your archetype through the way that you advertise. That also goes into, as I said, your system, which I call business optimization. How do you optimize your business, right? Meaning your life insurance agency for efficiency when leads do come in. And then the third component is how are you leveraging talent to book your appointments at scale, right? We call this client acquisition methods. If you're not personalizing each of those, if each lead type that you're agency runs, it does not have a tailored set of SOPs for each of those, you are leaving countless dollars on the table. But if you can focus and lock in on those 3 different pillars that I just named, you will ensure that not only you, but your agency will have success. The days of people knowing, hey, I'm gonna run my own ads. I recorded a video of this, I think a few weeks ago, if you're seeing this now, where I was talking about what are the benefits of you being able to run ads, and when do you need to know that you need to run ads for yourself, and when you need to position yourself as an agency and go and outsource talent. Now, I'm not the person to tell you exactly when that is, but that video has an entire breakdown of exactly what I'm referring to. And my suggestion is that you look at what your goals are. If you are just a solo agent who wants to strictly just make money, sure, run your own ads, set them up however you want, spend your money to test them, make some sales, and scale it up from there. But if you are truly trying to build an agency and get yourself out of the consistent rat race and the churn and the chargebacks, you're trying to develop a legitimate business and develop a real SOP for every single aspect of your business so it can function without you at some point, then you need to establish and work with a marketing organization, right? Establish meaning you go out and hire, or work with meaning you pay somebody to come in and do that. They will address those 3 pillars. And if they are not, that's not the right organization for you. They need to be focusing on in-house leads, branding, coming up with scripts, ad angles, different ways to position yourself. They need to be then helping you to optimize your CRM so you can actually own it, right? And have your own intellectual property. And then they need to be helping you find a more effective way to leverage your time by hiring appointment setters. And these are the 3 key methods that are going to ensure that you have success by leveraging just Facebook ads. We're not even talking about Google. We're not talking about YouTube. We're not talking about LinkedIn. And all those things are great. But let's start with the basics. Let's start with the bread and butter that we know works, because people are only using the main really 3 avenues in the life insurance space to generate quality leads. It's Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. It's Google, which is Google and YouTube. And then I like to call this the miscellaneous bucket. Is going to be your LinkedIn's, potentially, right? You might have somebody who's doing TikTok, but outside of that, unless you're doing SEO and your website's very well optimized, which is a completely different caveat, it's not necessarily ads, then you need to be focusing on the most basic, straightforward, and still the king of advertising, which is going to be Meta. When you then make more money, you can transition into Google. And then after you have mastered both of those, which will be a long time from now, you may want to dabble into LinkedIn. Now, if you're already in those categories, you can stay there. If you're already in Google, continue to dominate. If you're already in the LinkedIn or potentially TikTok space, also continue to dominate. But just remember, stick in that lane and master it. Max it completely out. Don't try to dibble and dabble into multiple, because there's so much growth in that, right? There's so much growth in those specific niches. So as always, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I think that you should really, really look into figuring out how to distinguish yourself from the competitors. Throwing up random ads or working with traditional lead vendors or even lead marketers like myself, right? Like, I've spent a lot of time in my 3.5 years thus far building my business and growing. And even I'm now learning different nuances to ensure that agents are having success. If you look at our testimonial page, I think right now we may have over 300 testimonials on there, specifically of agents making money. Right? And if you go on our Instagram, you look at our accounts, you're going to see that we are constantly posting success, and they're updated in real time because these agents are actually closing and writing quality business because we're branding properly, right? We are not just out here trying to run general ads and thinking that everything is going to be all right. And the moment that your clients will buy into that, you will ensure that you have success. So once again, as always, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or things that you want me to cover, please drop it below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.